大抵のことは100メートルを誰よりも速く走れば全部解決する。
次のレースは俺の25年。そして今、100円。
What if a race that ends in less than 10 seconds could reveal everything about a person's life? What if every step, every breath, and every split-second decision carried the weight of someone's hopes, fears, and the battles they never spoke about? That's what makes 100 Meters one of the most surprising anime films in recent years. It's not just about running, it's about two people whose lives collide on the same strip of track, and how a single race can expose truths they've spent years trying to outrun. But the story behind this film goes way deeper than its surface. Its production choices, its philosophy about talent and effort, and the emotional scars driving the characters all reveal a world far more intense than a 10-second sprint should ever allow. And what happened to these characters, both as teenagers and as adults, shocked many viewers who expected a simple sports story, but instead got something much heavier. It's about why they run it all. Before diving into the characters, it's important to understand the strange origins of this film. 100 Meters started as an unassuming manga by Uoto, created long before the author ever gained recognition. Nobody expected it to blow up. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't about superpowers, it wasn't riding the hype of a big franchise. It was just a story about two boys and a race. But what turned it into a global conversation was the way the anime adaptation chose to bring it to life. Instead of traditional animation, the studio used rotoscoping, a technique where real actors run, move, and breathe, and every single frame is traced by hand. This means that the tension in their muscles, the sound of spikes hitting the track, and the raw exhaustion on their faces feel disturbingly real. People expecting a typical anime found themselves watching something closer to a documentary, something you don't just see, but feel under your skin. And once audiences realized how much detail went into every movement, they started paying closer attention to the deeper message, the message hiding beneath the sweat and speed. But the technique is just the beginning. The real punch comes from the people running on that track. Every story needs a prodigy, the kid who looks like they were born to win. In 100 Meters, that's Togashi. From childhood, he isn't just fast, he's terrifying. Coaches stare, kids whisper, teachers brag about him like he's their personal trophy. But the danger with being treated like a miracle is that you start to believe it. Togashi grows up convinced that running fast isn't just something he does, it's who he is. Winning isn't optional, it's his identity, his sense of belonging, his only source of self-worth. So when he steps on the track, it's never "I want to win," it's "if I lose, who am I?" That's a pressure no child should carry. But Togashi never admits it, not to friends, not to family, not even to himself. And everything stays stable until someone new walks into his life. Someone who isn't supposed to threaten him, but ends up changing everything. And that someone is Komiya. Komiya enters the story as an awkward, introverted transfer student, the kind of kid nobody remembers unless they actively try. He has no natural speed, his form is sloppy, his confidence is almost non-existent, but he has something nobody sees coming, a mindset built on stubborn effort. Unlike Togashi, Komiya doesn't run because he expects to win. He runs because the track is the only place where he feels equal to everyone else. And when Togashi gives him a little guidance, just a few tips, Komiya becomes hooked. He wants to chase, he wants to grow, and eventually he wants to stand on the same line as the boy he admires. What begins as mentorship slowly evolves into rivalry, not because Komiya suddenly becomes a genius, but because he simply refuses to stop. The more Komiya pushes forward, the more Togashi feels the pressure closing in. And that's when the cracks in Togashi's untouchable genius start breaking wide open. But things explode later in the manga. Race nobody forgets. National high school final. A rainy track, a wet starting block, and two boys who have spent years pushing each other toward this exact moment. Togashi launches out of the blocks with the same explosive speed he's always relied on. For the first half of the race, he's ahead, not by much, but enough that the old confidence flickers back to life. He tells himself, "I want to win." But beneath that is the darker whisper, "I can't lose." That fear becomes deadly. Halfway through, the steps that were once light start to feel heavier. His breathing falters, his rhythm breaks, and he suddenly hears a sound he has never experienced in his life. Komiya's footsteps getting closer. Komiya, drenched in rain, pushes through with a look that isn't joyful or excited. It's a desperate hunger to prove he belongs. And then it happens. Komiya overtakes him. When the race ends, Komiya wins, but he doesn't cheer. He doesn't smile. He looks at Togashi and tells him, "Your running has changed." That one sentence crushes Togashi more than losing ever could. It forces him to confront something he's avoided his entire life. He's not unbeatable. He's not guaranteed to win. He's not the center of the track anymore. That race becomes the fracture that splits their lives in two, shaping everything that comes afterward. Years pass. The innocence of youth disappears. The track that once felt like freedom now feels like a contract Togashi can't escape. He becomes a corporate athlete, someone paid by a company to run, succeed, and represent them. It's stable, it's respectable, but it's not his. Every race is a performance for his employer, not a pursuit of passion. And the worst part? He's still fast, but not fast enough. New runners appear, younger, stronger, hungrier. People start talking about rising stars like Kabaki, who once idolized Togashi but now surpasses him. And there's Heito, a veteran who's been grinding for 15 years, never winning big, never getting praise, but still running with a purity that Togashi can't understand anymore. Watching others overtake him feels like reliving the rainy final all over again, except now he's older, more tired, and unsure of what he's fighting for. This is when the real question finally catches up to him. If running no longer defines me, why am I still doing it? And on the other side of the story, Komiya is dealing with a different kind of pressure, the kind that comes from being expected to win every time. Komiya becomes one of the country's top sprinters, standing shoulder to shoulder with legends like Zaitsu. Everyone sees him as a hero. Everyone assumes he's fulfilled. But success brings a new fear. What if I can't stay on top? The pressure to win morphs into obsession. Every race becomes a test of whether he deserves to keep running. Instead of freedom, running becomes a heavy responsibility. But the earthquake moment happens when a veteran Heito shocks the nation by beating both Zaitsu and Komiya in the semi-finals. Not through raw power, but through absolute emotional clarity. Running for himself, not for approval. Zaitsu retires after that loss, admitting his heart isn't in it anymore. Komiya, meanwhile, spirals deeper into confusion. He realizes he's missing something Togashi learned the hard way, something that changed everything. And this leads them to their final confrontation, not as enemies, but as two people trying to rediscover their reason for being on the track. Before the final adult race, Komiya approaches Togashi with a question he's been holding for years. What are we running for? And Togashi, after everything he's experienced, gives the simplest answer imaginable: to show our true selves. Not to win, not to beat records, not to silence critics, just to run in a way that strips away fear, doubt, and ego, leaving only the pure, unfiltered version of who they are. When the gun fires, something shifts. They run not as rivals, not as the boy genius and the underdog, but as two people who finally understand each other. Their strides align, their pace matches. For the first time in their lives, they're running together, not against each other. And in that moment, victory stops mattering. The finish line becomes symbolic, not literal, because they've both answered the same question. They run because something in their heart still wants to move, because the track is the one place where they feel honest, because even if life is messy, painful, or uncertain, those 10 seconds give them clarity. 100 meters isn't about speed. It's not about talent versus effort. It's not even about rivalry. It's about purpose. It's about finding a reason to keep moving when the world tells you to stop. It's about learning that winning doesn't define you, your persistence does. And it's about discovering that sometimes the person running beside you is the one who saves you from losing yourself. So here's the question this movie leaves behind. In your own 100 meters, what are you running for? If you've watched the film, drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us which moment hit you the hardest. And if you haven't yet, this is your sign to experience one of the most unexpectedly powerful anime films in years.